Tonight, it's a classic NFC East rivalry that's been all Philly as of late. Daniel Jones and the Giants try to get their season going as they take on Carson Wentz and the Eagles. It all starts at 7:30 Eastern on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Amazon Prime.
What's interesting about that division is the Giants are in a total rebuild. There's no preseason. They have a new coach and a new staff, and you'd think to yourself, oh, this is a bad season. But the Giants have gotten better, slightly better, every week. The division's still up for grabs. They're not getting Saquon Barkley back, but the Giants have a real defense. Outside of the New York Jets, and they're terrible, and the Atlanta Falcons, who have fired their coach and GM, everybody else in this league is still viable. Atlanta now, like they're starting over, and the Jets are a grease fire. But the New York Giants could win their division. Their defense is good. It looks like they got a coach. They're a little bit like Miami last year. They got blown out early, and then you start watching them, and you're like, oh, the Giants aren't terrible. They're only a 5-point Fox bet dog tonight, 5.5. So I think they're in pretty good shape, actually. For a new coach, no TAs, no training camp, no preseason. September was their preseason. So the Giants are just getting better. Giants pull off an upset tonight, you'd have to feel great as a Giants fan. You are better than you thought you'd be after watching weeks 1 and weeks 2. They went to Los Angeles and had the Rams in trouble until a minute and a half left. Joy with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Well, Le'Veon Bell is joining an already stacked Kansas City offense, and he is excited to show the league that he can still be a difference maker after a disappointing run in New York.
I think this offense is really fit for my skill set. I think Coach Reed does a good job of, getting backs the ball in space, and being an opportunity to play with Coach Reed is just going to be, magnificent for me. So play with these players around, Patty Mahomes. I never played with a player, MVP-wise, so it's going to be fun. I think it's a lot of weapons. It's going to be fun for me. You know what is great about pro sports? I always feel it's unfair. You work really hard in college. You outwork everybody, and your reward is to go to the Bengals.
Right.
But in the NFL, here's the good news. You can be Calais Campbell. You're with the Jags, and you get traded to the Ravens. Or you're Le'Veon Bell with the Jets, and you go to the Chiefs. Can you imagine you work for a terrible company? The management's bad. The ownership is bad. And they call you up and say, Apple in Palo Alto. Yeah, they want to hire you. What? One of the best companies in America. Yeah, they think, but I work at Larry's Barn Grill, and it's the management's bad, and the staff is bad. No, Apple wants to hire you. You're going to go from the Jets to the Kansas City Chiefs. Better owner, better GM, better coach, better quarterback, better. I mean, what a gift sports can give Le'Veon Bell. He made a little detour, a wrong one to the Jets from the Steelers, but life gives you other opportunities, and he didn't have to go to the Chiefs. He had 3 or 4 teams. He can now end his career, next 3 or 4 years, have the time of his life with the smartest offensive coach and the best quarterback.
Well, it's also why and look, I don't want to be too premature. We haven't seen him with the Chiefs yet to see what he can do, but I think we're all assuming that this is going to work. Andy Reid is a genius, and he's going to put him in the best position, but it's also why you have to be careful saying that people are washed up or they're done. Like, it can also be the New York Jets in a terrible situation. It's why, if they do end up getting the #1 overall pick and they take Trevor Lawrence, he doesn't force his way out, Sam Darnold will likely go somewhere else and have success because it's probably just the Jets and the organization not all on him. I think this is a good situation for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think that they're an organization that can have too much of a good thing. They obviously have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he is a rookie. Sometimes rookies hit a wall. Sometimes they don't, but why not be prepared for that situation? Le'Veon Bell is a very unique running style that they can work in and be very creative. They don't have to rely just on Clyde Edwards-Helaire now, who has been running great, but
he's not a red zone
running back.
He's not a big thumping running back in the red zone.
He has 18 carries for 43 yards and 0 touchdowns in the red zone this season. Only 17% of his carries have come in the red zone. He's tied with Jonathan Taylor and Kareem Hunt for 8th in the NFL in red zone rushing attempts. Derrick Henry leads the league with 30.
Yeah, so in the red zone, the big, thick running back scores. Helaire is 20 to 20s. He's great. But I think he had 9 carries in goal-to-go situations and -1 yard. So, by the way, all the coaches in this league, Sean Payton does this, Belichick does this, Pete Carroll does this, that use multiple backs and don't have a bell cow back. The downside to having Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley, they get hurt and you're trapped.
Right.
So Kansas City is saying, hey, this guy's going to carry 9 times. We don't have a singular bell cow. Belichick's never bought into that. Belichick's never believed you have one back. Sean Payton, Alvin Kamara's good. They've got a second back. So to me, Kansas City's like, this is the good team. By the way, Super Bowl for the Eagles. They had like multiple running backs. You have to have one quarterback. I'd always want 2 to 3 running backs.
And your role changes throughout your career as well.
Right.
So Le'Veon's role wasn't that in Pittsburgh, but this is not Pittsburgh, and it's further in his career. It's a different situation.
Yeah.
So Odell was visibly upset when he was pulled from the Browns' blowout loss to the Steelers last week.
Visibly.
Threw his helmet on the ground, was yelling at fans, took off his cleats while he was on the sideline, and he explained why he was so frustrated during the game and with the criticism he received for his outbursts.
I'm pissed, and at this point, I really don't care to keep trying to make myself look like a good guy into the world and all that, because I am who I am. There's people who have plenty of rings and consider the GOAT, and they do things on the sideline, and other people do things on the sideline, and they get away with it, and it's classified as passion because they may have something behind their legacy.
I do think Odell gets unfairly criticized, but I think it's because of the expectations that we have of Odell that happens. And so with great talents come great responsibility, and expectations lead to disappointment. So the situation in Cleveland, I don't think ever was a fit for Odell. He's been great about accepting what the situation is in Cleveland, and also they are an emotional team still.
Yes.
So they're learning to deal with losses. I don't have a problem with Odell being emotional. I don't understand why people ever get upset with emotion on the sidelines. He's not punching someone in the face. He's frustrated, and that is how he expresses his frustration. Some people go and they are isolated by themselves. Some people yell. Some people cry. Like how you emote in a situation is not the problem. I'm glad he is emoting.
Yeah, I don't think it would be an issue if their quarterback wasn't highly emotional. So I've never had a problem with emotions, but I want my quarterback to be a grown-up. But in Cleveland, you got Baker's wife talking on IG, and you got Baker saying this, and you got Odell saying this. So this is a combustible organization. I always say the hat on backwards thing. Nobody ever wants to acknowledge what I really say is, I don't care if you do it. I don't care if baseball players do it. I don't care if football players do it. I don't want my quarterback at his weekly press conference sponsored by Toyota to have his hat on backwards. It's like, I really don't care how football players act. If they're the quarterback, Jameis, Manziel, Baker, I'm going to chew you up. Bad body language, Jay Cutler. Bad body language, Aaron Rodgers. I've never really cared. I tend to think wide receiver is an expressive position.
Right.
So people always get into this. People like Randy Moss has done what he's done in Odell. I think people earn their reputations, good or bad. But I don't really care. I think if the Browns had more stability at owner, GM, quarterback, then this would just be a highly emotional, productive receiver. And I could give you 10 NFL teams that have won Super Bowls with highly emotional wide receivers.
And your leader sets the tone for your organization.
And your receiver's never your leader. Your leader's your quarterback and your GM and your coach.
As it should be.
Right.
But Odell has a right to be upset with the criticism of it because he is not supposed to be that guy. So why are we holding him to the standard of that? Like, that is Baker, who should be in that role.
Yes.
So he shouldn't be getting criticized like that. Finally, the Eagles are dealing with a ton of injuries and are 1-4-1 so far this season. Luckily for them, they're in the NFC East, and Carson Wentz is still confident in their chances of winning the division.
We know where the division's at. We know it's wide open still, and we know we didn't start, and we don't have the record that we were hoping for or counting on, and we know the division is up for grabs for everybody. So we know what's riding on this one, and we're excited for it.
So you were just talking about this. They play 3 divisional games in a row with a bye in between. So they have the Giants tonight, then the Cowboys, then a bye, and then they're at the Giants. Cowboys are atop the NFC East right now at 2-4. Giants 1-5, and Washington is also 1-5. So this game tonight is actually crucial.
Yes.
crucial for the Eagles. We don't think that the Giants really have a chance to win this division, although they could go on a run and very well win it as well.
They win tonight. They're in a good space.
Right. So the Eagles are favored by 5 tonight against the Giants, according to Fox Bet. Games at 7:30 Eastern on Fox. Deshaun Jackson and Lane Johnson are expected to return tonight. So both teams actually have some players coming back that have been injured the past couple weeks. So it could be a little bit of a different type of game because of that. There are some key players coming back despite all the injuries. But I'm looking forward to this game tonight because it really does have big implications.
Yeah, Joy Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd.
And John Smoltz will be joining us in the last hour. Brett Favre talks, and I totally disagree with what he said. That's coming up. Going to the grocery store is something we have to do, but what if you didn't have to do it quite as often? Butcher Box is a company that eliminates the need for all those grocery store visits. ButcherBox delivers high-quality, humanely raised protein to your door overnight. 20 different cuts of meat. They've got organic chicken, grass-fed and grass-finished beef, fresh-caught seafood, salmon scallops, heritage breed pork. Again, delivered overnight, cold and fresh, 20 different cuts. They use the best farms with the best practices. There's no hormones or antibiotics ever. And if you sign up for ButcherBox today at butcherbox.com/herd, you get 2 free 5-ounce lobster tails and 2 free filet mignons in your first order. Pretty easy. 20 different cuts of meat. Go to their website, Lights or Recipes, butcherbox.com/HERD.